the September 6, 2011 Lake Forest Committee of the Whole. First order of business is a roll call.
Honorable James Cowie.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Waldeck. Here. Alderman Moore.
Here.
Chairman Pandeleon.
Here.
Alderman Morsch absent. Alderman Schoenheider.
Here.
Alderman Palmer absent. Alderman Edelman.
Here.
7 present, 2 absent. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Second item is approval of the minutes of the June 6, 2011 Committee of the Whole meeting. Any comments, additions, amendments? There being none, I'd hear a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Third item is an ordinance authorizing issuance of General Obligation Refunding Bonds of 2011 and providing for the redemption of outstanding bonds. This is discussion only. We'll have a formal vote on this at the City Council meeting later on. Just as a matter of sort of introduction, today we executed this the auction of these bonds. You may recall that we presented a proposal back on July 18th to refund the expiring bonds and then also preemptively refund bonds that won't be callable until next year and establish an escrow to pay them off with. At the time, we anticipated an overall savings of approximately $1.2 million from this process, and we used for the refunding, or for the current maturing bonds, we estimated an interest rate of a little over 2%, and for the advance refunding bonds, we estimated an interest rate of approximately 2.9%. Back then in August, we came back and said, well, we're getting a little closer to the facts here. We're able to look at some comparable transactions. We reduced the interest rates expected and estimated that that would result in a savings of approximately 2.2 million, with interest rates continuing to fall. Well, this morning turned out to be a very good day to refund these bonds. It was a bad day for the stock market, certainly before noon. It got a little better in the afternoon, but we were done by then. And normally when people are gloomy, bonds do well, and when people are happy, bonds don't do so well. So it was good to do this on a gloomy day, and we ended up with an overall interest rate on the expiring bonds of 1.36%. Wow. And an interest rate on the advance refunded bonds of 2.24%, approximately 32% lower than we originally expected in the first case, and 23% lower than we expected in the second case. So overall savings, we're now projecting to come in approximately $2.5 million. And that's net of all offering costs and the dilution that comes from holding this escrow in cash for the next 12 months of approximately $800,000. So this is, and I asked Kathy this afternoon, okay, when can we do this again? Unfortunately, it doesn't really present itself as an opportunity again until 2015. So,
good job.
So thank you to Kathy for spotting this opportunity. And if you'd like to go through some more details with everybody, now that I've stolen all your thunder, welcome to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, you have stolen all my thunder. What Alderman Pandeleon just discussed is actually on the overhead, and it's also in front of you. It does compare the 2 forecast dates when we came to you for your approval, along with what actually happened today. So we are happy to say that we are saving slightly over $2.5 million. Also in front of you, you have the new ordinance that was prepared by our bond counsel that you will be approving tonight. You also have a packet from Spear Financial. We have with us Mr. Dan Forbes from Spear Financial, and he's here to also give you some background on the sale, tell you a little bit more about how it went, and most importantly, how our sale was actually very wonderful, especially compared to other sales. So, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council.
Again, I'll be brief, but there were a few things that went on in today's sale that I do think I would like to at least note. The sales set new records, I think, in participation and a few other things I will touch on. But overall, as I know Kathy and the Finance Committee Chairman has said, that you did an amazing job in the market. And kudos to you, Kathy, for picking this timing to get the job done, and certainly to the chairman. In the Spear packet, if I could just note a couple things. The smaller issue for $2,495,000. As you can see from the interest rates that were bid by the 7 syndicates, it was extremely close. And if you turn to the next page, this is kind of a snapshot of how the bidding went. And again, we used this open auction format where people got to see their rank and then they got the opportunity to bid again. For one of the sales, people, if you take every time someone had an opportunity to bid again and rebid, we set a record, certainly at Spear, 51 times on one of the sales, 47 times people submitted bids or better than bids. Different firms and syndicates moved around considerably. It ended up that UBS was the winner on each of them, but at any point, I think there were like 3 or 4 different syndicates that were leading in the process. This will give you more of the details, but I think the bottom line what this is telling you is that that the amount of total interest cost that were bid and the number of bids brought it down to what is the absolute bare minimum in the absolute market for today, perhaps even a little bit better than the market, as it may have turned a little in the afternoon. We would then recommend clearly on the A's, and what I might say too, this is the smaller issue, the $2,495,000. To get the New York firms to bid on this issue, they could have easily just waited for the next issue, but it just shows how much interest they had in owning any City of Lake Forest bonds. And they clearly went after this issue very aggressively, even though it was small and short. The other pages here just indicate how the syndicates were put together, who was in the syndicate, the way the bids were revised. And I should just mention that the bids were revised basically to lower the par amount because the market today asks for premium bonds. They want a higher coupon, much higher than the actual yield to maturity, and so they're willing to pay a premium over the par amount for bonds. That's just basically why how the market is these days. Almost all bids came in with a premium, and so that was the reason that the issue, the principal amount of the bonds were downsized for tax purposes. We needed to take that premium and reduce the principal. There is a debt service schedule, but at the end of the Series A packet, there's a chart called debt service comparison. What that shows is essentially that savings are equal over each of the maturities over time, which the rating agencies like a whole lot to make sure that you're saving savings over time. And that really over time, you're saving $191,000, which if you keep that in today's dollars, equates to about $179,000. On the letter in the middle of the packet, this is for the Series B. This is the large one. This is the one where most of the savings are generated. This is the one that essentially, again, is the, as the chairman said, the advance refunding. You have these bonds coming due or call next year. We decided to look at these, refund them out, look at the negative arbitrage. And I don't think you actually could have done any better. I can't imagine rates getting any lower. And as Kathy has in her presentation, the negative arbitrage, we were talking $800,000 to $900,000. That dropped to $577,000, which is actually pretty much rock bottom, I think, with where rates were. The difference again between treasuries and what you received. In this case, there were a number of syndicates that bid the same idea, or I might say that in this particular case, your savings again over time is about $2.6 million, $2,625,000. If you present value that back, it's about $2,003,000. And that's how we get to the $2.5 million when you add them together on a present value basis. I can confirm that it is also net of all costs. And if you look at the list of bids, pretty much the top 5 were all within 0.02%. The same sort of idea, they fought back and forth for the lead. And the lowest bid, again, came in at a 2.23. We had to revise that to a 2.24 after we reduced all of the principal down to comply with the tax law purposes. The last point, if I could, is at the very end is a Moody's report. The AAA was affirmed for the city. That may be no surprise for you, and I would certainly not expect anything different, but you do not take ratings for granted these days, as we all know. Especially in Illinois, there's been a lot of pressure, which continues on any Illinois municipality. A lot of that problems with the state and kind of the negative view that the rating agencies have of the state has been visited upon a lot of municipalities. There certainly have been many more downgrades than there have retentions or upgrades. So Kathy did a tremendous job with the analyst. I think the analyst, if you read his report, has just very favorable things to say, especially about the financial management of the city. Modest debt levels, all good things. But I will say that Kathy, in talking with the analyst, was able to get everything to them as usual. Any follow-up material, she got back to them by the next day. And the analyst was very appreciative and I think continues to have a very, very favorable view of the city. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Kudos to you, kudos to Kathy. You did a tremendous job in the market today.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of the city and to you and Kathy Reiner for all your hard work. George Pantaleone, our finance director, obviously it's a great day for Lake Forest to save $2.5 million, but it didn't happen by accident. It happened through all the hard work and planning and all the efforts that went into this. So our timing was exceptional, but that wasn't a mistake. That was well planned. So great job on everybody's part. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next order of business is discussion of licensing of taxi cabs. I have Police Chief Berger here to present their analysis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. So for about the last 10 years, the city has licensed cabs and drivers. And currently we have 2 licensed cab companies, American Taxi and 303 Taxi. Now to become licensed, for the companies to become licensed, they have to appear before you and ask for and petition for a business license. We currently charge each vehicle $100 per license per year, and each driver $100 per license per year. And the reason we do it that way is because there might be 3 or 4 drivers that share one cab. So we want to make sure both the drivers and the cabs are licensed. Over the last 4 years, the police department has been able to streamline the process that we use for licensing. So now all the applications, the inspecting, and the issuing of the licenses all take place at the police department. And over the last 4 years, we've been able to generate about $80,000 in revenue. It's in that same 4-year period, it's cost us about $6,000 in man hours to run the program. So we're coming out ahead, way ahead actually. When we did a quick check of the local departments, there are still 2 villages that don't license cabs, Gurney and Vernon Hills. But all the other local municipalities do license cabs. Currently, we have a single vehicle cab company who would like to become licensed in the city, and by obtaining a business license, we'd like to recommend that once all the paperwork is complete and the owner of the company provides all the appropriate paperwork, that you grant a license to the cab company. I think it's a very good program. I think that we've served the city well and we've served the residents well. One of the things that we can do is make sure that the reason for the licensing is we make sure the meters are up to date, so they're charging the right amount. I think it's $2.50 per mile now. And if there are any complaints, we have records of all the drivers and the cabs that are in town so that we can go back to the companies and take care of the complaint right away. So it serves the residents well also. As I said, we feel it's appropriate once the proper paperwork is complete to license this cab company if they come before you with a petition, and I can answer any questions you may have about the program.
What's the name of the new cab company and how many drivers? And
It's a single cab company, and I believe it's a single person owner, so there would only be one.
and the name of the company?
I'm not sure.
I think he's present this evening.
Alderman Edelman?
Yeah, I forget what we pay for our annual stickers for our cars, but I know I'm not making money with my car, and I think I'm almost paying $100 myself. So my question is, can we afford to charge more without tipping the balance there? Because, I mean, $80,000 over 4 years is a lot of dough. If you went up 25%, like to $125 a license and per vehicle, that's a big increase overall.
When we talk to the local departments, we also asked how much they're charging, and actually we charge the most right now.
Oh, okay.
So I think if we went up even a little bit, it would cause an issue.
Mr. Mayor, do you want to invite the operator to come forward tonight?
Sure, if the operator is, you're welcome to do so if you like.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council. My name is Zbigniew Robak, and I came here to ask you for the license in Lake Forest to be approval for to be an independent taxi driver in the city of Lake Forest. And I'd like to say I've been working as a taxi driver since 1996, first with North Suburban Yellow Cab. And when North Suburban disappeared, I worked for over 2 years with 303 Taxi. And now, April this year, I created my own company, now with one taxi, and I don't expect maybe one car more, but for now just one car, and I'm the driver, I work. Because I've had a license since 1996 and I know this city very well and people here, I still would like to be a driver here, to work in the city. That's why I came with the petition asking for the license to be an independent driver in city of Lake Forest.
Any questions?
If the council is so inclined, they should direct staff and the city attorney to prepare the necessary modifications to the city ordinance to permit the issuance of another vehicle license.
Just have a question for Chief Berger. Sorry to get him back in
That's
the spotlight, and it's more of a curiosity. I'm one of the many that goes to the train station every morning on the east side, vies for a parking space, and with the two cab companies, I'm not as sensitive as some of our former aldermen, but a lot of times the cabs and staging, there's a limited amount of spaces at the train station for the two companies. Is there some type of control on allowing the sharing? Has that ever been a problem?
It's never been a problem in the past, Alderman, and I think we have 2 or 3 designated spots at the East Depot. There's quite a few more at the West Depot just because of the way the depot's set up, but it's never been an issue in the past.
Okay, so an independent cab driver wouldn't be kind of choked out of a position at the train station?
Not at all.
It's first come, first served?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Chief, can I ask
I
you
have
a
another
question while
question.
you're up there? I'm sorry to interrupt, but in your survey, did you look at rates and the controlling of rates and any of those related issues?
We did, and the reason that most of the other departments have licensed the cabs is to control the rates, to make sure, as I said, that the meters are charging the proper rate and that we have a recourse if they're not charging the proper rate.
Do you have any, or did you consider any special circumstances or conditions or issues vis-à-vis having an independent company versus a multi-car company that's got more street presence? I mean, is there any issue from an administrative point of view if these things were to proliferate, or?
We don't think there's an issue, Alderman, and the way we can control that, the way the city council can control that, is to limit the number of business licenses.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments from the city council? I guess I'd entertain a motion to
Direct staff?
direct staff, as staff suggested.
So moved?
Second.
Second by Alderman Novak. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And just for the record, we will have it on the city council agenda 2 weeks from last night. September 19th is our next city council meeting. Okay?
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is opportunity for public comment, and I guess I would say if you are here to speak about something that's on the regular city council agenda, you may want to hold your comments until that time. If you have comments on any of the matters that were discussed here tonight, that would be, we'd be happy to hear them. Okay, there being none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I was going to ask if it would be possible, and I did talk to Ramesh and Mike earlier, possibly we could do some of the discussion involving the snow blower that's on the regular agenda, just to get the council questions done now to fill some time.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay? In that case, I'm not sure if I should continue officiating here. I guess I should, because we haven't adjourned yet. So
We will do so. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
So we'll have an advanced consideration of a recommendation from the city staff to purchase a snow blower,
Exciting
just like the
stuff.
one I have in my garage.
Yeah, just much larger, much larger. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Mayor, members of the Committee of the Whole, this evening staff is requesting City Council approval to purchase a loader-mounted snow blower for our snow removal program. This would be used in the uptown areas, parking lots, cul-de-sacs. The justification is included in your City Council packet. We presented it at the July 18th Public Works Committee meeting. Public Works Committee recommended approval or directed us to go out to bid for the unit. This evening, we're bringing you the bid results. The short of it is that this will increase our hauling and shorten the amount of time that we are spending on hauling. So it will significantly increase the efficiencies of that operation. The unit costs approximately $80,000, and looking at our past expenses, we look for this to be about a 6 to a 7 year payback period. We surveyed other communities. Many communities in the area have something like this. And again, the whole focus is that we can spend less amount of time removing the snow out of the parking lots as well as the downtown area. And per the direction of the Public Works Committee over the past couple of years, they've wanted us to focus more so on getting into those parking lots sooner and getting the sidewalks cleaned better than we have in the past. And our plan is to go ahead and take some of those saved man hours and put them towards that effort. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I'm sorry. Michael, in the pecking order of things you'd love to have, is this at the top? when it comes to-
It actually is, and it's something that we've talked about and would like to have had for the past 5-8 years at least. It just, when we look at the efficiencies, and again, when we see other towns use this, there's many things it'll help us with. And not only will it save money, but we finish these storms and these trucks are turned around, the guys are turned around, and we bring everybody into a hauling operation. You get snow events one after another. Fleet maintenance gets backed up with all the equipment. The guys are halfway exhausted, and this is gonna address those things. It's gonna give us a chance to get our fleet back up in order. It will save the city money, and it gives the guys a chance for a break as well. So, pecking order, it's important to the snow program. Yes, we just think we're gonna be able to deliver. We think we already deliver a very good product as far as snow removal. We just think this is going to make it that much better.
And I think your comment's a good one, which is where I was going with it, which is, I know when I was on Public Works before, we talked about how do we get to the sidewalks, particularly around the train station in the downtown area, around schools, things of that nature. And if this then translates into moving more man hours into those efforts, I'm wholeheartedly for it.
Right, and we also recognize, especially with the parking lots, we have a window, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. We might push it to 4:30, where we've got to get in there when the cars are out and get that snow hauled out. So this, again, will speed that effort up, and again, at a lower cost.
That's great.
Any special training required by operators for this? And if so, how many men do you plan on training? What's the expense involved in?
This unit will go on the front of one of our 2 front-end loaders. It's a self-contained unit, so it has its own engine, 175 horsepower diesel. Literally, all we do is we push the snow into the middle of the road, Western Ave. We'll have a couple of guys and backhoes push that snow in, and this simply runs down the middle and throws snow into the semi-tractors next to it. So training is minimal. You operate the machine remote control in the cab, on, off, point it to the semi, and that's it, away you go.
Any particular safety issues with it because it's so big? I mean, is there a spotter to make sure little kids aren't?
There will be a spotter, absolutely. There will be a spotter to make sure, especially not only from safety standpoint of people that are not around. And we're going to do something different this year. We're going to close down blocks at a time when we're cleaning up uptown. In the past, we've left uptown open, and you have people coming through, and we're there at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and it gets a little dangerous. So we're gonna block things off one block at a time. There'll be someone there to make sure nobody's around, but more importantly, nothing gets into this machine. When you're plowing snow and you kick up different material, it's all gonna get piled up, so we don't want any big pieces of metal or rock going into it. So the spotter will be looking for those as well.
Just with the neighboring communities, with Highland Park, Winnetka, and a few other towns having it, what's the reliability or the durability of the snow
Machines.
blower?
Every time, the interesting aspect, when we started looking at this and we talked to the other towns and asked them, did they have justifications that we could just take a look at and see how they went about it? Every town we talked to, their machine was 18, 20 years old. And they have absolutely no problems with it. So we expect this to last at least 20 or 25 years. All the records, they didn't have anything back when they originally purchased it, so they all seem to be very reliable units. They're all made by the same manufacturer, which is right across the state line. So if we ever need parts, about a 45
Who is the
minute drive.
manufacturer?
Wausau Everest, they're up in New Berlin, Wisconsin. So very, very accessible. All of our plows are made by the same company. We've had very good luck with them.
And simple engine maintenance could be done in-house?
Absolutely. All of it, very similar to all the engines we run in all of our trucks, almost identical.
And-
Actually smaller, so.
And just with the bidding process, and there was a noting that the actual high bidder submitted a bid for a lower capacity machine, how much smaller was that other machine?
They rate them by capacity, tons per hour. This machine is 1,500 tons. That was around 1,200. But again, we specified different size on augers and cutting widths, cutting heights as you're going at a pile of snow. We have a good idea of generally how high we pile it. Those are all things that we look for when we're putting a spec together. So that product, made in Canada, we couldn't find anybody that uses it. So not only did they not meet the specifications, but we couldn't find any reliable references. So,
There was a comment in the write-up about your ability to use larger capacity
trucks.
trucks
Sure.
to move the snow away from the city or to wherever the Can you, I wasn't quite sure why we
Sure.
weren't already doing that. So
Yeah, every fall, late in the fall, we'll contract private haulers, private contractors that use the semi-trailers, and we will get upfront an hourly rate of what they'll charge us for a guy and a truck, basically. And they know that we will call them in the overnight hours, we'll set something up. We have not done that traditionally, and I think that's why we want to look at this, is that it's something that just has a larger capacity. Our dump trucks will hold upwards of 5 yards. These semi-tractors will hold 20 plus. So when we looked at the hourly rates we're paying our guys, the number of trucks that are sitting there, the number of loads they get on an overnight hour, we can greatly speed that up at a much cheaper cost. So rather than our guys making 3 runs an hour up to Old MS, the turnaround time probably be about 10 minutes for the semi, tops.
just because it fills that much faster?
It'll fill a semi in less than 2 minutes, probably close to a minute, minute and a half, but it has much larger capacity, and it's just one guy and one truck. So it's something else that we're going to be looking at, is once Old MS is sold, we've got to find a place somewhere else in town to take this stuff. And again, running the semis, it's going to be that much more efficient for us and a less of an expense than running a smaller little dump truck around town. We'll be able to get through it a lot faster and at a much cheaper cost.
But that's not necessarily just related simply to this purchase. This is something that could be done regardless. It just doesn't fill up very quickly.
You're absolutely, we could have used our loaders to load the semi-tractors, but again, that took a lot of time as well.
Slow process.
I agree with you. It could have sped up our operations in the past somewhat, yes. But this blower, the fact that it will take, I think about this, it'll take 4 to 5 minutes tops probably to load a semi when we're using an end loader. This will fill it in a quarter of that time, if that.
And plus, we're going to have a snowdrop for 5 years after we buy this, and that's a good thing.
We'll be using this.
This is all money that's coming from outside, by and large, right? That's another point that didn't get brought
Yeah,
up.
very good point. These are FEMA dollars that the city was reimbursed for the February blizzard. FEMA gives you 2 dates that you can pick, your 2 highest dates. They will reimburse you for 75% of the cost, to include overtime, truck costs, contractual services. They will not reimburse you for straight time. So we submitted all of our spreadsheets, all of our data, and this is the check that we received. That covers a majority of that cost, not all of it. Remaining dollars will come out of our capital equipment account.
Will this be used at all for clearing roads or just removing snow from parking
We'll
lots?
do roads as well, especially down at Sheridan, Fort Sheridan.
I mean, instead
all
of
the
a plow.
drifting. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Cul-de-sacs as well, if we need to get in there. Sure, absolutely.
Alderman's driveways?
How about them Cubs? No, not at all.
I don't think this thing will fit in my driveway.
No.
175 horsepower.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, maybe since we do have a little more time while Michael is there, one item that we might advance is under actually my report. Michael, and I know Lou Decker is here to talk about something that I think we're pretty proud of, and quite frankly has gone under the radar screen with respect to the City of Lake Forest and its sanitation department responding to a neighboring community and helping that community in a time of stress and distress. And so I'd like Michael to just sort of brief us with the recent response to the village of Winnetka and how the sanitation department helped out.
Okay, we've passed out a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. A very quick summary. Back at the end of July, heavy rainstorm came through northern Illinois. Actually, it really did not hit Lake County as much as it hit Cook County. Friday, July 22nd, primarily the morning of the 23rd, Village of Winnetka received close to 7 inches of rain. The Director of Public Works at Winnetka called and left a voicemail for me Saturday morning. I checked my voicemail around 10 and listened to his message. I called him back, and he simply asked for help, that they knew they had a lot of flooding, that they were going to have a lot of people with basements, not just 2 or 3 inches of water, but their entire basements literally full of water. And it wasn't just going to be the belongings in the basement drywall, studs, everything else were going to be torn out. We talked about their operation. They have in-house refuse, just like the city of Lake Forest. They as well do not collect on Wednesday. They do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, so I suggested let's do a Wednesday, the upcoming Wednesday, where both towns could dedicate all their trucks and all their personnel. I went ahead and called our city manager, asked for his approval. He agreed, so we went ahead and decided the upcoming Wednesday we would collect material. All of our crews, we had 6 rear load trucks with all of our guys, showed up at the Village of Winnetka on the 27th at 5:30 in the morning. I'll fly through these sides. This is simply just some pictures that one of our operators took when we were staging the equipment. We went in and met with all the Winnetka personnel and their supervisor, and they gave our guys maps, gloves. Again, this was a combination of stormwater and sanitary. So you name it was sitting out at the curb and it was all wet. All the assignments were given where we matched up a Lake Forest refuse collector along with a Winnetka refuse collector so our guys wouldn't get lost. There's a sample of just one pile of the material that was at the curb. That's from one home. And again, myself and Dan Martin, our superintendent, drove around at about 6 o'clock that morning down throughout Winnetka. I would gather about 40% of the homes had those types of piles out. So there was a lot of material to collect. Just another picture of our guys picking up the material. Interestingly enough, we will typically pack out one of our rear load trucks over a one-day period. So we start refuse around 6:30, 6:45. By about 2:30, 2:45, our trucks are packed out. We started this at 6:20 that morning, and our first guy had his truck packed out at 7:40. So our guys were really moving, and you could tell at the end of the day, soaking wet with sweat. It rained. It came down at 11 that morning, and again, all the wet material. But they really, really, really worked hard. We were very, very proud of them. To give a quick summary of what it actually cost. Again, we had 13 employees from sanitation, 155 hours overtime, which equated to $6,100. We have 6 rear load packer trucks. We brought both of our pickups down. And our equipment cost at what our hourly rates are for our trucks came up to $876. They refer to it as IEMA, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. They are the ones that determine whether or not reimbursement can be applied for through the federal government. You need approximately 2.1 to 2.5 million, depending upon the county. Lake County, it's 2.1 million. Cook County, it might be a little bit higher, but you have to hit a certain threshold with the county, then the state has to hit 16 million, and once you hit those 2 thresholds, then you can apply to FEMA for reimbursement. Same thing we did with the blizzard money. We were all able to hit that. Unfortunately, Cook County did not hit the number, which was very surprising, and as a result, they were not allowed to apply for reimbursement from the feds. We've called multiple times to try and get our numbers from Winnetka. Their numbers. Our numbers, we knew we collected 155 tons that day. Speaking to Lou Decker, our streets and sand supervisor, his best guess was approximately 110 on Winnetka's side, but we picked up a lot, and our trucks pack a lot of material. So all the material was taken to Swank, which is a transfer station, and from there hauled out. Village of Winnetka paid for the disposal, obviously. The city of Lake Forest has not been a part of any public works mutual aid, and it's something that we're going to look into. I'm not sure yet if we're going to go down that route or not. The interesting thing, would require an adoption of an ordinance, but the community that actually supplies the assistance, unless there are FEMA reimbursement dollars, you do not get reimbursed by the requesting agency. So there's a little catch to that, and there's an expense to that. Cost us $6,100. If you believe in what goes around comes around, that's a good thing. But the other side of that when we look at everything that our department has been able to do with blizzards, flooding, the windstorms, we've been able to take care of ourselves pretty well over the years. So there's some catches to it. There's approximately 96 communities throughout the state of Illinois that belong to this mutual aid network. We're going to look into it a little more, but not necessarily sure if we're going to sign up. So we simply just wanted to give you a summary this evening of what we did, and we're very proud of our guys for helping out. So if you have any questions, it'd be
I just want to say, Michael, I certainly agree that you did the right thing, helping out a neighboring community, and I know our guys really worked very hard to go down there and give them all the help and support they could in one day. And it was, again, I think it's the way government should operate, that, we have resources and we help each other, and I firmly do believe that we'll have a payback someday when we need that kind of help. But I think it was the right thing to do, and I commend you for doing it, and for all your guys for all the hard work they put in.
The guys were, if you could have seen the guys at the end of the day, they were tired, but they were very, very, very proud of themselves. A couple of them said, let's do it on Saturday, because there was, by the end of the day, we had covered about 85% of all the stops, so there was still more to go, but they were just very, very proud of what they did, and so were we. So wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else that we should add to the agenda before we adjourn?
You wanna,
I know there's a number of other things on the agenda. I think most of them are self-explanatory, and probably, but don't require any further discussion, but we'll be happy to answer any quick questions that you might have on anything else. Okay?
None? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
back at 7:30 for city council.